hola mi gente, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little different than my usual content, but for starters I did want to say, Nena, if you're watching the sweater may look familiar porque me adueñé, but thanks for your donation. So anyways, getting back to it, today's video is going to be about plushie repairs. This cute little buzz was a commission piece for my best friend. Her little one got to it. It's well loved. This was the first time creating this type of embroidery. When I created it, I told her flat out, like, I'm a little worried about it. So I don't know if it'll last. They're toddlers, 2 under 2 situation. I don't blame them. The perks of having me so close is that I do provide free repairs for any and all plushies. I was also really concerned about these little guys, but they survived. This one too. I think this one might have just, I don't know, this one was rough. I thought of it too when I made it. It's just a little too long. Little fingers can get in and rip it out. So I think I'm gonna try to figure out a different way to embroider this and do the little repairs. I know she said that she was planning on just taking the needle and pushing everything back in, but I'm just gonna do this for her. So stick around. All right, for starters, I went ahead and I cut everything off. Cut everything off, any little ends that I had. What I like to do is grab my needle. Ideally, when you're working with velvet, I find that the plastic ones work a lot better than the normal metal ones. Otherwise, I stand by the metal ones. But this type of yarn, if you've worked with it, you know that whenever you cut it, the ends will do that. When you have a metal needle, wherever you have it and you're sewing, it starts like kind of creating a gap between the fiber, and then all of a sudden everything is just, it's getting stuck as you're sewing. It's just all over the place, getting in your nose, find them all over your carpet and your couch. I find that using the plastic needles works so much better. It causes less stress on the yarn. So what I like to do is when I have little just odds and ends sticking out here, I'll grab the eye end of the needle. I'll just kind of like push everything in. I just went ahead and I did that already. The way that I originally did this, I'm not sure how I want to do it again to see if it'll last longer. Not that the school bus is a guinea pig, but it might be a guinea pig. I think most plushies I've made are for a little bit older kids. This is at least, I mean, her youngest one that got a hold of it. He's definitely the youngest I've had for plushies. Even my kids, they didn't really touch the amigurumi that I made them until they were maybe 2, because then they started asking for specific animals that they wanted. The littlest guy, he's definitely someone that helps me improve my techniques. But the way that I originally embroidered the little school lines is that I would go through here and then come out through here and then just take it across over here, come out through here, and then I went through the bus and came out through here, in, out, and then I tied it. So clearly that didn't work that well because there was nothing to secure them in the middle, and I think that's how his little hands got in there and tried to rip it out. So I am debating if I should be going in, maybe going through each stitch, not going like looping around to create a line. It would be kind of choppy though that way, so I don't know if I want to do that. Another thing is, do I want to use velvet yarn again to match the entire bus, or do I want to go in with a worsted weight? So let's go ahead and try to figure this out. First, we are going to locate where we previously embroidered because those stitches already stretched out, so I want to avoid reusing those since the whole purpose of this is to secure everything a little bit better. I just went ahead and used the stitches ahead of it, and where I go in and out, that changed dramatically because the way that I did it before, I simply went in and out through the opposite sides. This time what I'm going to do is go in and out through the same section. That way it secures the piece of yarn a lot better that way. I'm trying to get it as tight as possible without really morphing the bus. And here, what I'm going to do next, because it still kind of pops out a little bit, is create a little knot where the entrance or exit stitch would be. The trick here is to really look at your stitches, look at the way that it's made, so that way you can avoid going in and out through the same stitch, because if not, your thread's just gonna pop right back out. But if you find an extra piece of thread there, go in between, you can create a nice little knot and get it as tight as you possibly can. Next, instead of leaving this entire strand all by itself, I'm going to create a small stitch, little knot in the middle. So ideally, if the child is going to pull on these threads, it doesn't pull the entire thread out. Instead, it should just be a section. So I'm just gonna go ahead and find that other part of the stitch that I hadn't embroidered through already, so I can create a knot. And here we'll see I'm struggling a little bit with how it looks. I'm not a huge fan of having this piece in the middle, but it is necessary. So at this point, it just is what it is. At this point, functionality is then aesthetically pleasing, but I will go ahead and create another knot here. So each section has a knot in the beginning, the middle, and the end. And this is the end piece of the yarn that I'm using. Going ahead and double knot that to secure it really well, and then push it back into the project. You could cut it if you'd like, but I find that using longer strands, it works better by stuffing it back into the bus. It lasts a lot longer. You don't have to worry about it popping out or fraying, or if it does pop out, customer will usually reach out and say, what do I do with this? It's like, well, at that point you can cut it or you can stuff it back in. Not a big deal. And at least nothing will come unraveled. But once again, showing you here that the most important part is trying to find a different part of the stitch that you can go through so you can create a knot so it can stay secured. You will notice that doing this, if you're using worsted weight to embroider and on a velvet yarn project, the velvet yarn kind of wants to pop back out, and I think it's just because of the different texture of material. Worsted weight is a lot rougher, so it's trying to pull the back part of the stitches out. So just be mindful of that and keep pushing it back in with the eye portion of the needle. But just repeating the process here. Knot in the beginning, knot in the middle, knot at the end. That way each line has a few separate sections. I'll just be going through the bus with the exact same thread instead of putting another piece. So this way it is a continuous piece of yarn. It works out really well. It feels way more secure. Just keep practicing and you'll figure it out. All right, I went ahead and I finished securing both sides. You can see that I secured the ends and the middles on both sides. I'm not the biggest fan of how that looks, but I think functionality wise it'll be a lot better, because in theory if he pulls on a section, it should only be that section. Worst case scenario, the entire section. But again, in theory, it should not be pulling on any other line, much less going all the way through the bust, because that was a problem that I saw. Pulled on this side and this side just like concaved with it. So it should stay in its shape and form. Yeah, she's all done. Thank you so much for joining. Feel free to like, reshare, comment, subscribe, all those things. If you don't know, I am on YouTube. I am on every platform under Latinx Loops, so feel free to follow me wherever you like.